And welcome back to JKLIVE here at the Department of Defense headquarters. Strategic Telecoms, they call it, Stratcoms. We're here with the only four-star general in the country, General Robert Kibochi. He's been in the military more than 4 decades. He knows what he's talking about, worked his way all the way up the ranks. We're talking about Kenya's military and its role in civilian life. And as we were taking a break, I had to sip this water. We asked for some water. Guess what? KDF. In general, you're saying you make your own water now?
We make our own water. And we've been making this since 2011.
Because?
Because of the lessons we learned from Somalia, where water wells were poisoned, and our soldiers were taking this from the same water wells. So we learned a lesson. And we've never gone back. So we use this water.
So sometimes you had to, obviously, you had to learn things the hard way.
Absolutely. You have to have. And I think these are some of the lessons that Kenyan people don't know. Learning lessons. One of the key issues about KDF is a learning organization. We learn every day. Stratcom is as a result of the lessons that we've learned. And we implement them to be able to become better and to be able to be mission ready. And this is critical for us as an organization because the threat mutates every time. When we had the COVID, for example, situation, COVID had the impact of reducing most of the capabilities the military have. Because how do you recruit, for example, during COVID? And we did. On Friday, the Commander-in-Chief will be graduating over 4,000 recruits trained during the COVID situation.
General, I'll come back to recruiting in a little short while. Another thing that Kenyans aren't very aware is that Kenyan troops' reputation abroad is very high.
Right.
We're really ranked pretty high around the world and respected, if I, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely.
Whether it's peacekeeping missions, around the world.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Explain to us about that.
It is based on professionalism. That is one of our core values. Our professionalism is ranked the best for reasons that we believe very strongly on training. If you look around the Kenya Defense Forces, we have all sorts of schools and colleges, and recently we've started the university. And this is what sharpening the arrowhead is all about, because the moment you sharpen the arrowhead through training, and as you know, training is the best form of welfare to a soldier. You give a soldier first-class training, send him to war, or send him to do a job, repair a bridge, he'll do it to the best of your ability. And I think that is what separates us from other forces.
And speaking of professionals, now the military is getting involved in civilian affairs. A little controversial at first, but look, KMC seems to be working for the most part. Nairobi Metropolitan Services, run by a military man, general body. What is that about?
I think there's nothing much really strange about it, because under the Constitution, 2010, the mandate of the Kenya Defense Forces is spelled out very clearly under Section 241, A, B, and C. The first one is the core mandate of the KDF. That is defense and protection of the Republic of Kenya from all external aggression. And that's we do all the time. The second one, and which is very critical and talks to the question that you've asked, is the whole question of that we shall, it says that, we shall cooperate and assist other government agencies, either in times of crisis or emergencies. Now, I think you can define emergency in very many ways. When you have, for example, Kenya Railways, that has got a whole network of meter gauge railway lines that have been in operational for the last 20 years, that have provided support to the local communities when they want to take their products to markets, and they have not been able to revive them. I think that constitutes an emergency because it speaks to the humanitarian needs of the people. So KDF is tasked by the government to go and help and assist. And today, you will be aware that almost 95% of the network has been restored. Nairobi, Nanyuki, Gilgil, Nyahururu, Nakuru, Kisumu, Butere, Eldoret, Kitale. Now, this partnership between Kenya Defence Forces engineers and the Kenya Railways engineers, is it good for the country or is it bad? I think it is a positive that our engineers are brought in. And we're saying, because we are in the government together, we have to be able to come together and leverage on our competencies. And we have huge competencies here in the Kenya Defence Forces, ranging from legal, doctors, engineers of all sorts. So we have, I believe, been working within the law, and I think it's a good thing that the Kenyan pair can see what value their defence force can bring to bear.
Kenya Meat Commission?
Kenya Meat Commission.
Has that turned around?
It was a disaster, that one. Because as you know, when we were growing up ourselves in the defence forces, we used to get corned beef. Those days, they never had what is called today meals ready to eat, MREs. Today, there are MREs all over the place. Now, corned beef was what we used to have during operations and exercises. And it ceased to be gotten from KMC. We started importing this from Brazil, while we have the capacity in the country to be able to develop this product. And when the government came in and said, we would like you to work with the KMC employees to revive that factory, it was a great opportunity. Today, as we speak, every soldier in the Kenya Defence Forces eats meat from KMC. That is fresh meat. Every soldier that is in operation gets corned beef from KMC. Every police officer who is in Kiganjo gets meat from KMC. KWS gets meat from KMC. Prisons gets meat from KMC. And then obviously the farmers who are supplying this cattle benefit from that. And I think, I don't know whether you've had a chance, Jeff, of visiting that place.
Not yet, but
I would invite you to visit there and look at it. You'll be able to see the before and after. It's a whole transformation.
What do you tell the critics general who say, you know what, this is military meddling? What do you tell them?
I don't think so, because military must be seen as a part of the society. We are part of the Kenyan fabric, and therefore, when we lend our hand into supporting the revival of some of these factories, you will recall, for example, that the previous KMC leadership had been given close to a billion shillings, 1.5 billion shillings to revive, and they never did it. We got 650 million shillings. Okay, 400 for buying cattle, and the balance 250 for buying, reviving the equipment and making it work. And we were able to do that within hardly 6 months. As we speak today, we are working on Kibarani. You know, Kibarani in Mombasa, there was a KMC facility. Right. That is what we're working on now, to be able to make it work. So I would tell Kenyans that really their funds, their tax is being used appropriately when it's handled by KDF, because we are as transparent as it can be. We don't allow misappropriation. You misappropriate funds, public funds, you go to court martial. There's no two ways about that. And you go to jail after you hit the court martial. So we therefore have adopted an approach where we have this capacity that we have, and we are very happy to have that capacity help in contributing. What Genobadi is doing in Nairobi Metropolitan Services is very clearly seen by everybody. And I believe by working together with those that we find in those institutions, we'll be able to see the benefits of culture change. Because no one, for example, in KMC, lost their job just because KDF came. Everybody's there. And they're very competent people. What they didn't have is a working environment and leadership. Yeah. And we brought leadership and created the right environment to be able to deliver effect.
So that leads to the obvious question, General. What took so long?
I think, in my view, I cannot be able to answer that question, why it took so long. But for us, I think we are happy. It might have taken too long because probably we were expecting that those in the leadership there would do it. They couldn't do it. So we are happy to get involved in a manner that we are not taking anybody's job, but we are contributing to the national development, which is a good thing.
And when it comes to revenue generation and efficiency, is it obvious in these institutions, in these organizations, where the military is?
As I said, for us, we are really not after revenue generation. We are an enabler. Our job is to create conditions so that those that manage these facilities can see that if you work in a right condition, give the right environment, you'll be able to make profits. Now, KMC is making profits. NMS is being run adequately. You will know that our engineers from Kahawa were able to work with NMS to get a lot of vehicles that had been broken down for many years. Not because they didn't have mechanics, but because the culture was wrong. The leadership was lacking. You know, Badi brought leadership, and you can see the transformation.
Absolutely. And then I heard recently that KDF is also building shipyards, or building ship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I think we're going to have to invite you on Friday next week. There will be a commissioning of the Kenya Shipyards Limited in Mombasa. We have two shipyards that are being that have been established, one in Kisumu, one in Mombasa. And the ship is being built. It is not a fallacy. It is there and built by Kenyans for Kenyans.
Wow. Made in Kenya ship?
Absolutely.
A real one?
A real one.
Okay.
A real ship, yes.
Sorry.
You will know,
yes,
Jeff, that we had a ship that was plying Kisumu to Adde, and it had been out of service for close to over 2-3 decades. And the Kenya Navy was able to revive that ship within about 6 months. And today, it does exactly that.
It's operational.
Taking fuel, operational, all along. Yeah.
Huh. General, a moment ago you were talking about recruiting. And you know, it happens to me, people are always coming up to me and asking me, please get me into the army. Please, there's a recruitment next month or in 2 months. The question I want to ask you is, what kind of person, what kind of man, young man, woman are you looking for when they come for recruitment?
I think the qualities that we look for are well stipulated within the adverts that we have. For example, we talk about age. You have to be between 18 and 26 years for both genders. You must have certain qualifications. If you're joining in as a soldier, you know, a normal general duty soldier, you join with a D and above, which really a lot of Kenyans have. D and above, there are many of them. If you're joining in as an officer, you must have a minimum of a B. And as you know, we have now recently agreed that we are going to have 2 categories of officer cadets. One is those that already have a degree. Okay, these are called degree holders, and we train them for 1 year. And then the youngsters who are coming from high school, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, we take them through a 3-year program, culminating with a degree, which they don't have to pay for. It is paid for by the government. They get a degree and they get a job. So there is no better employer than the KDF in that sense. And then we have those with diplomas who have come with diplomas in various areas, who are employed as tradesmen and tradeswomen. You know, they join in as tradesmen and tradeswomen. Then we have specialists. Specialists are those with graduates, but they are specialists in particular areas. For example, doctors. We need a lot of doctors here. As you know, we have recently started to modernize our medical infrastructure. DFMH Memorial is being modernized. We are building new hospitals. Recently, the Commander-in-Chief inaugurated a new hospital at Kahawa. We're doing some in Eldoret, Isiolo, Mombasa. And we require a lot of doctors. So we have a huge list of doctors that we require in various categories.
Another thing that a lot of Kenyans talk about during recruitment time, and you alluded to, you know, if you're caught doing corruption,
yes,
you're court-martialed and then you're jailed.
Right.
But then a lot of people complain that during recruitment, there is a lot of corruption. That's what they claim. There's corruption. You're told, you know, patiana kitu hapa, you know, tapeana kitu hapa.
Yeah.
How do you reassure Kenyans that those you recruit are the real deal?
There are two ways of doing this, Jeff. One is that recruitment and corruption during recruitment is facilitated from multiplicity of areas. There are those who are either retired, okay, not necessarily KDF, but they could be from many security forces, who would take advantage of these young people who are desperate to get a job. As you said rightly, many young people would like to join the KDF, but there are only so few slots that we give. For example, if we are recruiting about 3,000, we are currently doing an online recruitment for specialists. And I asked the IT people recently, after 2 days, we had 16,000 people who had applied. And therefore, these unscrupulous people out there take advantage and masquerade as KDF people, and they ask for money. I think the Kenyan people themselves must be very, very, very cautious, because how does somebody tell you that he will get you a job, okay, and you know for sure that this could be a conman, and he is asking you for 300,000 shillings. This is a challenge that we are facing. There are those, obviously, a few that are linked to our serving personnel, and we deal with them. Right now, I have over 21 who are being court-martialed. And there is no exception, whether you are an officer, whether you are a service member, you will be court-martialed. And for us is to create deterrence as much as we can to curtail it internally. Now, how do we then curtail it from outside? As we speak today, I was reading the newspapers that there are people already who have started the process of conning people. And therefore, as a society, I think we need to also ask ourselves, because we always say that KDF recruitment is free. Why then should somebody come and say that they want to give you 300,000 shillings? We also say that you can only be recruited from locations that have been published in the newspaper. They're there, everybody knows. But you cannot go to River Road and somebody says to you that they're recruiting. There's no recruitment center out there. So we as a society must also be very, very careful in the manner that we react to this. Yeah. Yeah.
General, 40 years after you joined the military, 40 plus years, have you seen Kenya's military change? What is the Kenya military of the future? The Kenya Defense Forces of the future?
The Kenya Defense Forces has changed greatly. Personally, over the last 40 years, I've seen the military change dramatically. And that is why we in the defense say that our legacies are shared legacies. We inherit what other people have done and make sure that you progress it to the next level. When I go back to when I was a lieutenant colonel, for example, working for General DRC Tonje then, who brought in quite a bit of transformational dimensions, including the National Defense College that we have, including the International Peace Support Training Center, and that's why our peacekeepers are good, because they're trained. You just don't select somebody. He goes for training before you deploy him. So there has been a lot of change that have taken place over those years. There has also been a sense that, and we talked about this, about professionalism. Professionalism has continued to be one of the key pillars of the Kenya Defense Forces. And I think that in itself has propelled us, from a very, young force to one that today we can all be very proud of as a country. Yes.
And one that's promoting a lot of women as well.
Absolutely. Gender, again, we are the only force, as you know, I don't know whether you know that we have a written gender policy. We don't know any other force that has a documented gender policy. And that gender policy borrows heavily from the Constitution, which talks about gender mainstreaming and allocates a certain percentage of either gender into a force. Now, the requirement is 30% of either gender. But because ours is a very, very progressive force, you cannot promote somebody just because they have joined and therefore they become a brigadier. They have to go through the motions to get there. Now, what has happened in the last few years is that a number of young female officers have attained the level of seniority that puts them at par with their lot. Because as you know, we started getting recruitment of officers directly not too long ago. So there is therefore the constitutional requirement that we must be able to ensure that gender is mainstreamed. So we've mainstreamed gender, and not based on because they are women, because they are competent in their areas. The Chief of Legal Services, for example, in the Defense Headquarters, is a lady. Brigadier Kerubo, she's a competent lawyer. The head of the International Peace Support Training Center in Karen is a lady, Brigadier CTNA, and she's doing a great job. So, and we have also, as you know, our General Ahmed, who is now the commandant of the cadet training. She trains 800 cadets, officers, in a year. And to us, I think that is a pride that we take to ensure that it is competence-driven. The appointment you get is competence-driven, so that it is not just because they are ladies, it's because they have gone through the same programs that we go through. You don't get promoted in this force if you have not, served for so long, so many years. You have not gone through certain courses that you have to go through. And not just go through a course, but go through it and perform to the level that is required. So yes, we are very happy that they are coming up. And with time, I'm sure, God willing, we'll have more generals, ladies in the Kenya Defense Forces.
Yeah, and there's only one 4-star general right now. What is his legacy? What would you like to leave behind when you move on?
I think mine is, as I said, one is that we have a shared legacy. But what I personally would want to leave behind is an enhanced mission readiness, okay, that is going to be able to allow us to respond to emerging threats. We look at cyber, for example, as a domain of warfare. We used to have just about 4 domains of warfare: maritime, land, air, and space. Now, cyber is becoming a big issue. As we speak here, we are very, very concerned about the theft of data from our systems here. And therefore, for us to sharpen that particular area, I personally am involved in seeing that we develop more capacity and capabilities in this area of cyber. Secondly, is the whole question of welfare. A military leader exists to do two things. One, accomplishment of the mission. If the mission is given, you have to accomplish it. You cannot say that you're going to do it tomorrow. It has to be done. It has to be done now and then. Secondly, is to take care of the welfare of his troops. And to me, welfare of the troops is critical, and their families. And that is why we are revamping the healthcare system to make sure that our soldiers and their families get the best medical care at the level of where they are located. So we establish these hospitals across the entire country to make sure that we get that, we get the right doctors who can be able to attend to them. Secondly, is the whole question of housing, because as you get young force, they will need housing. So we are undertaking major housing projects within the KDF to ensure that we create an environment where soldiers who are left whose families are left behind don't have to worry about their families. They are well housed and taken care of. So that's what I would want to see. Yeah.
General, we really appreciate your time and congratulations on Stratcoms.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And
any help you guys need, just let us know.
I think we'll come to you. Certainly, you've been this particular profession for a long time.
Maybe too long.
I'm sure. No, and it's a good thing. I'm sure the Colonel will be able to come to you for advice. Anytime.
And if you want us to bring the bench and extinguisher, we'll bring that too.
Just bring it here next time. We'll make sure that the soldiers are not around here. Thank you very much.
General Robert Kibochi, thanks for your time.
Asante,
appreciate it.
Nashukuru
sana.
Asante.
Well done. Yes. General says, sharpening the arrowhead and being mission ready. That's the bottom line. That's what the KDF is all about, folks. It's a whole new Kenya Defense Forces. I tell you, with the CDF, he's leading from the front. It's good to see we're in safe hands. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all. God bless the KDF.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well done.